It may not be a white Christmas for the first family, but there's plenty to celebrate in the Aloha State. President Obama landing in Hawaii yesterday on the heels of big legislative victories. The START Treaty and 9/11 First Responders Bill were the final pieces to the lame duck puzzle there, giving the president a lot of momentum heading into a new year with a more conservative Congress. Now, Bernard Whitman is a Democratic pollster and strategist, and Joe Watkins is an MSNBC political analyst. Thank you both for joining us on this Friday.
Thank you.
Good to be with you, Richard.
Yeah, let's start with this. The comparisons since the lame duck has ended are those of LBJ and FDR. So I do want to start with you, Bernard, on this issue. How does the lame duck successes compare this year compared to history?
Well, I think it's extraordinary. I mean, this has been the most effective lame duck Congress in decades. And I think these last 6 weeks have been the most extraordinary and effective of Barack Obama's presidency. Why? He was able to enhance our military readiness and restore integrity to the military by repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He strengthened our national security and improved relations with the Russians by getting the START deal done. He kept the faith with 9/11 responders by passing the 9/11 health care bill. And he ensured that millions of Americans would not have their unemployment benefits go up, and tens of millions of Americans would be able to keep their taxes down by working a tax compromise with the Republicans. Now, unfortunately, he had to agree to an unaffordable, unnecessary $700 billion tax giveaway to the rich in order to do that. But by all measures, this has been an extraordinary legislative session.
Hey, Joe, you know, on the flip side, critics are saying all the real work, or more tough work, shall we say, will be happening in 2011. We got the budget, and then we've got immigration, for instance, as examples.
That's exactly right. There's a lot ahead, of course, and the president will be challenged to work with a more conservative Congress. Certainly, the House of Representatives will have a majority of Republicans beginning in January of 2011, and that'll be a little bit of a change. So the president did a very, very good job, a very effective job of working with the Republicans as well as Democrats in this lame duck Congress to get these legislative items passed, and hopefully it'll have a huge positive impact for all Americans, whether they're Democrats or Republicans.
All right, looking into 2011, we'll stay with you there, Joe. How can the Democrats make this win in the lame duck last the longest that it can?
Well, I think they've got to continue to trumpet their ability to work with Republicans to get things done. Americans, at the end of the day, want to see action. They want to see accomplishment. And the only way you get things passed is by working with people on the other side of the aisle. So for our Democrats, it's important to continue to, well, certainly for the administration, it's important to continue to work closely with Republicans to try to fashion legislation that works for everybody. And that's the only way to get things accomplished. You've got to be practical in this pragmatic in this. Certainly Bill Clinton was somebody for President Obama to learn from, because he was successful in doing this after he had massive losses in 1994.
Joe, let's launch off of what, Bernard, let's launch off of what Joe just said. How might the GOP here mitigate some of those wins that the Democrats have had in the lame duck moving into 2011?
Well, you know, if I were the Republicans, I would be concerned. Why? The American people were very clear. They wanted the parties to come together and get the job done for the American people. So what happened? The American people wanted START passed, it got passed. The American people wanted Don't Ask, Don't Tell repealed, it was repealed. When they look at the president, 56% of Americans approve of the way Obama carried himself during the lame duck. Only 42% approve of how the Republicans worked. And in terms of who was cooperating with who, Obama, 59% of Americans say the president did enough to cooperate with the Republicans. Less than half of that, only 28% of the American people said the Republicans were cooperating enough with the president. Only 24% of independents said so. This is a group, independents, who the majority voted for the Republicans in the midterm. So I think what the American people said was, you guys got to work together. They looked, they saw the president, the Democrats coming to the table, and they saw most of the Republicans being fairly obstructionist. Fortunately, there were some out there that the president and the Democrats could work with, and we got a lot of key legislation done. But I would have to say the Republican conference needs to look at those Republicans who are willing to work with the Democrats to get things done. That's going to be the future of that party.
All right, Bernard, Joe, we got to go. But, Joe, I did want to ask you about the poll. 59%. Do you think 59% of Americans think here that Bernard has a good tan? He just came back from 10 days of vacation. That's my question, right?
Only 59?
I think 75% think Bernard has a great tan.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
10 days in Puerto Vallarta. I mean, this guy's, after the midterms are done, he's like, I'm getting out of here and having a good time. And Joe, I hope you do the very same. Joe Watkins, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Richard.
Bernard Whitman as well.
Thank you.
Both have a great Friday.